Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, I'm always excited to be here. I guess you know that by now. And today we'll be doing another one of the serverless um, build. And what we'll be looking at today will be to build an HTTP API with a private integration to Amazon ECS, the Elastic Container Service in Amazon. We'll be probably leveraging the serverless technology in AWS to rapidly build and deploy something which will be accessible over your normal browser via the HTTP protocol. Okay, now the requirement for this, you just need a basic knowledge on of AWS ECS, basic knowledge of VPC to be able to understand a bit of networking, the basic knowledge of the API gateway, which we obviously have seen in our subsequent videos or previous videos, then a basic understanding of the serverless architecture, which I'm going to just show you a snippet out of what we'll be doing today. Then a bit of automation at the final end, where we can use CloudFormation templates to automate this whole thing, rapidly deploy, rapidly terminate short lifespan APIs. All right, so enough with my dirty chatting. Let's get into the meat. So the introduction and steps. In today's session, we will create a serverless API that connects to an Amazon EC2 or ECS service that runs in Amazon VPC. So we have this restriction, the designated VPC, and hence we are only going to be creating this API to be able to within this space and access to be able to get on that space and trigger the API. Obviously, in our previous video, we've done some explanation around different types of API. So this will be HTTP API. The client outside your Amazon VPC can use the API to access the EC2 service, the ECS, service. Why do I keep saying EC2, by the way? Okay, so we want to create an access to outsiders to access our resource. Hence, one good way to do this is using the API. Hence, we'll have the API gateway doing some good robust management there to restrict what they're allowed to do via this API calls. So the steps will be to, one, use AWS CloudFormation template to create Amazon ECS. Two, we're relying on automation for the first step. Two, use AWS CloudFormation template to create the Amazon VPC link. Then three, use the API Gateway console. That's where we'll get hands on manual to create the HTTP API route integration and connect and integrate to the to connect to the ECS environment. Then we'll use VPC link to allow API Gateway to access the Amazon ECS, and then we'll test our APIs. All right, back to more talk. Workflows. So the workflow, when you invoke the HTTP API via your browser, API Gateway routes the request to the Amazon ECS service through the VPC link and then returns a response to from the API service to your client. So we can see how this works. Just a basic description here. Here you go, the client, and then we have the HTTP API via your browser. Then hits the VPC. Then the VPC in this VPC we have the application load balancer if necessary, just to manage stuff. Then we have Fargate service. Okay, great. So this is how the architecture looks like. Okay, that will be my last slide. As usual, short slides, right? So let's exit this, then get on the first part of this. Okay, here is an account which I've created, API user. Also for the previous video which I've recorded, we use this account. So you can see pretty much a bit going on for this account. Hence, we'll get on the first task, which will be from our explanation. Just give me a second. Will be to use AWS CloudFormation template to create Amazon EC2 service. So I've got the template right here. Obviously not this one. Okay, sorry. So this is a template. All right, this is the CloudFormation template. We will be uploading these templates into CloudFormation. Maybe snipe it into just a part of it. We can see we're specifying the types EC2 VPC. Then the property, we can see the CIDR block being specified. Enable DNS hostname, very true. Enable DNS support, so we can have the outsider being able to connect via DNS resolution. Then internet tenancy default. Then the tag, we have a key name. Then the value, private integration stack. Okay, great. We can see that we are building this via our code, what infrastructure as a code, like they call it, is anyways. So this is quite a lengthy one, so I'm not going to walk you through every bit of this. That will not obviously make sense because I'll have a very long video. But if you want that stuff, I'll be glad to still walk you through it if you want to know that stuff. Okay, great. So let's just put this in the background and get on with our business. So the first task will be to create that API gateway. Now we'll be using the sorry, not API gateway, the CloudFormation. So we'll go to CloudFormation, then we'll create new stack. So in the new stack, we can see there's a template is ready. So we have a template, which means we need to import our templates. What the hell is that thing? Sorry about my language using that what the hell thing. Anyways, okay, so it's in download. All right, so we are going to be bringing it. Template is ready. Now we can use a sample templates, or we can create templates in Designer, which means we create a Designer template which goes through the walkthrough phase of building this either in JSON or YAML. All right, so we'll go with the first one. Now we have an option. If this thing is probably an S3 bucket, we can select this, then point the S3 URL so it fetches the bucket, which would be the appropriate way to do this in a normal enterprise environment. I wouldn't be uploading this from my local system. Obviously, I'll have it mapped from my ID environment. Once I commit, it ships it into the S3 bucket. Then from the S3 bucket, I can fetch it right here. Even if I run an update, immediately I can trigger a job to quickly update the S3 bucket. Then this will be updated as well on the fly. Okay, so that's the right way to do it, but we're not doing the right way. We're doing it the local way. So we're going to choose on this, select a file, navigate to where I've got the file on my downloads, I think, private integration configure. So we'll upload that. Now, once that is uploaded, we can now go next and set up a few more stuff. So we can see that, yes, automatically this drops this in an S3 bucket, then gives us an S3 URL. So we're going to try to see if we can actually copy this URL. If we have, let's try to test the kind of permissions set up for that S3 bucket. If we can actually access it over the public. I expect access deny, obviously. That's what it wants to be. Anything aside this, trust me, you just messed up. So now at this point we can click on next because we've uploaded. We don't want to view in Designer. Obviously we can do if we want to, so we can make modifications as we deem fit. Maybe I should just show you what it looks like in Designer. I'm sorry, the video will have to take some more extra time, but again, you want good content, well, you'll be willing to wait for the time and watch the content. So no stress, no pressure, right? So this is what a CloudFormation template looks like. Okay, obviously we can see that being broken down into resources from certificate authority to the API section. Pretty much cool stuff, and this is what the template looks like. Okay, great. So we can fall here below to see the components, or we can look at maybe the templates, which is what you saw me doing in Notepad++. But again, I'm not going into this stuff today. You want some fun stuff around this, you can get in touch with me private. I'll be glad to showcase. So we just click on next. Then we should give this stack a name. So I'm going to call it just give it a name. I'm too lazy to type, so I'm just going to copy and paste the name here. So at this point, I think we can just go ahead and next anything. We're not going to set no parameters from this, so we're just going to next all things. Key value tag, I'm not going to do none of this stuff at the moment. Now we can actually set a tag, which would be normal thing you do in an environment. Again, another important thing is permissions. Obviously, permissions is always that thing that should ring always in your head before you make a choice or a decision to move ahead. So we can either set an IAM role, specify the role name, if we want to restrict permission to this CloudFormation stack. But again, I'm not doing none of this stuff. I'm just going to ignore anything else and just go next, next. And we also have stack creation option. Again, very important, but I could go on and on for each of these and the video becomes lengthy, which I do not want. So we're just going to go ahead and the final phase of this, create this stack. We'll review everything. At this point, we're good. We'll create that stack. So next will be to create the VPC link. Again, we will go through a walkthrough process and then move on with that. Oh, I did not acknowledge this. Okay, my bad. So create that stack. All right, so let's go do the VPC stuff. Okay, so I have to mention, if this stack is not ready yet, then it won't really make sense to start doing the VPC stuff because it's not going to work out. Obviously, we want to specify what we want to allow in or out through that VPC. So wait for this to finish, then we'll go in the VPC link. And the VPC link, I think we'll be using the API gateway. So we use VPC link right here to do that. So let's just wait a while. Okay, so we can see create complete. We got the green light, a green tick over there. We'll move on to the next phase of this, which will be to create the VPC link. So, excuse me, my water. Okay. For this, we'll be using the API gateway. So we'll go over to the API gateway, VPC link. The other video we had used HTTP API over here. We'll come back to that actually. We're going to use that. But at the moment, VPC link is what you want to click on. So from your VPC link, we can create a new VPC link. Now at this point, we can either use a REST API or we can use link for HTTP API, which is what we're using. So we're going to click on this one. We'll give it a name. I'm just going to give it this. That's fine. Now we need to choose a VPC. So remember, if I go back here, maybe that's a very better way to explain this. Right up there. Yep, private integration tutorial VPC. So we need to pay attention for that to that name, because obviously we'll have to look for that name in our VPC here. So let's find that, and this is what it is. So we've got another option here, but again, we need to be sure this is what it is, private integration stack, and that's what I have defined right there. Then we can see that the value is private integration stack. This is VPC. Then also for the subnet, so I'm going to select that first one. Then at that point we need to find the subnet. So again, the subnet name must match what we've selected here. So for the subnets, we can see private integration stack, whatever subnet one, or the subnet necessary. So we're going to go ahead and select them, as we can see them right here. Find the ones which matches with us, select them, then we'll move on. All the subnets within our VPC, obviously, because if I go back here, our VPC is 10.0.0.0/16. Okay, that's this /16. But the subnets we have, let's look at that, 18. Then okay, this is 0. That's for everybody in the internet. Then this is also within that. Okay, so we're pretty much okay. I'm gonna put this back in the background. Then we'll go select that option. So we can clearly see that we've got private subnets, public subnets, two private, two public. So we're going to be sticking with the private because it's within now. So I'm going to select this ends with private. So we select this one. Then this also ends with private. So we select this one. Now we could go ahead and do security groups as well, which would be a best practice. But I think for this one, we will not assign any security group. We'll just leave it as it is at the moment. But again, we've got some security group IDs here and description as well. Automatic create security group for Elastic Load Balancer or the VPC security group. I'm just going to leave all that as default. Then I'm going to go ahead and create this stuff. So wait for this to finish, then I'll get back. Okay, so while this process is ongoing, probably will take a while, we can go ahead and create the API. So still on this console, we will go to API. Then we'll be creating the HTTP API like I did explain from the start. So we'll build this. Now we'll give this a name. Then we'll move on with the process. I'm just going to copy and paste the name. Again, just acting lazy today. Okay, pretty much that's it. Then we will add integrations later, just like we did in the previous video. Okay, I'm going to next on this. Then at the moment, I don't think I want to do any integration. I'm just going to next on this, then review the page, then just go ahead with this. Okay, I'll leave this as the default stage. Then next on this, review and create it. So after creation, next we'll go create routes, then we'll create integration just like we did yesterday. So but for today, I think we'll just create only one route. So right here to my left, we've got routes, we've got authorization, integration, and cross-origin reference resource sharing. I'll click on routes, then I'll go through the work process with you. So we're going to be creating a new one. You click on create new one. Now the method for this, we can leave any. So it could be get, post, push, patch, head, but I would always recommend you understand what you're doing. So if this project will not need any of these, well, there is no point actually being that loose as to leaving any. You better want to be fine-tuned to selecting exactly what you want and letting that be what you want to do. So, but again, this is just a test project, so we'll leave this as any. For the path, we're going to enter a specific path. I'm going to just use a proxy plus. Okay, great. Now we've got that path. Now the plus at the end of the path is actually greedy path variable. What it means basically, send all the requests to the API. Nothing else. Everything that must go in must go via the API. That's what the plus ends there. So once we're done with this, we can go ahead and create this API. Then next we'll go do integration, just like we did yesterday. So for integration, we'll go over to integration. Now under integration, we will be using the manage integration first to create that. So under the manage integration, we can see that we have the option to actually create one. So we're going to create one here. Then we will create an integration here, still using the same concept of the any which we saw from the route. Okay, so that does mean we're going to first look for the route, which is this. Then the integration type, we will be choosing private. Remember, we're trying to make this whole thing. So search for private resource, and that should be what we're selecting. Now for integration details, we can go fine grain here. We can either select manually, which obviously seem like what we'll be doing. So we'll just select manually. Then the VPC link. And for the other details for the VPC link, we'll just set up the ALB, NLB. Obviously, you want to understand what you're doing at this point. I know it's a bit off the basic level. Now we're going in a bit advanced stuff to know what you're doing. Really necessary. Okay, so next let's move on with this. Now I just talked about the ALB, NLB, more like a listener to send requests to. Select that. The load balancer. Now this load balancer, if we go back to our cloud formation templates, if we can find, I could use a search, you will see that's the load balancer which is defined in our template. Let me see if it's going to take a while. I'm just going to ignore it. Okay, fine, but it's somewhere within the template here. I'm just going to ignore it. Then again, the listener will use port 80, which is defined also within the template. There's no point for description. For the VPC link, it has to be the same VPC private. Okay, so select that. I think everything looks okay at this point. Then we can go ahead and create this integration. So once we're done creating this integration, we'll move on to do a bit of verification. Let's see how this stuff works. Alrighty. So quickly, let's attach the integration. Now, if I go back to attach integration to routes, we will select this routes. Then we already have the VPC load balancer attached to this. Now we can detach this and we can create attachments if need be. If I want to do that, create attachment, or I can just rely on an attachment which I already have going on within this. So which is what we'll be doing. We'll select this attachment is what we want to use. Then we attach this to it. Okay, so we've got the route, we've got the integration, we've got the attachment, and next let's go test this stuff to see if it does make sense or if it's going to work. If it doesn't work, we'll try to troubleshoot it. Obviously, that's one way to go about this. So I'm going to click on the API. Then I'll look for the link, invoke URL, which is what we have here. We'll just copy the invoke URL link and we'll go ahead to run a test on this. I'll do this within the browser. So I'll copy this, open up a new tab and paste this in here. Okay, let's test this and see what comes back to us. Okay, great. So it means it does work. Okay, this is actually a simple PHP app. Congratulations, your PHP application is now running on the container in Amazon EC2. Container is running PHP version. Okay, we're not going to talk about if it's a vulnerable version or not. Okay, so but we've got the container running, and that is how it goes, rapidly deploying and exposing that via API call to the public. It's within a VPC. Do not forget that restriction is there. If I am to go back to this, we will clearly see that it is within here. Fargate is actually handling all that stuff. But again, we're able to use an application load balancer to manage access to this. Then at this moment, we only have this. There's no form of replication going on here. But the clients can always hit this from an external point outside the VPC and going over HTTP, not your normal API, REST API calls, HTTP, being able to access the resource from a browser and actually having access to that. Now we could use this to host a static application or whatever. The major headache here is just in the templates. So if you're able to build a template, then I think it's game over. Everything else is just within a click, and you're just good to go about this stuff. Now, there will be a need to maybe do CloudFront at some point, so you're able to do content and delivering and other stuff. But I'm not covering that in this recording. Okay, that will be it for this recording. Thank you for your time, and I hope you love the content. Please do like, subscribe if you do, and I'll see you in another content pretty much recently. Have a good day. Bye.